Are we ready?
Yep. Are you?
I am ready.
Great. So, shall we start? Tim, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, hello, everybody. It's almost the final session, but not yet. And here with us is Paul Linden, who is a body awareness educator, a martial artist, and an author. And actually, some of his works are translated into Russian. You will have some links later on. Paul has 6 dan black belt in Aikido and the first black belt in Karate, first dan. A certificate as a Feldenkrais practitioner and a PhD in physical education. He has been practicing and teaching Aikido, a non-violent martial art, for 50 years. Out of his struggles to understand the art, he has developed a rapid, simple system of body education which integrates power and compassion as a foundation for their daily life. And today, Paul will talk with us on the topic that body is primarily mental and the mind is primarily bodily. So, Paul, please, here goes to you.
Thank you. What I mean by that is something very simple. If you say, this is a chair, it's a chair. If you say, c'est une chaise, it's still a chair, but I said it in French. Das ist ein Stuhl. It's still a chair, but I said it in German. How do you say it in Russian? This is a chair.
Это стул.
Okay. Are there 4 chairs there or 4 languages? See, you can speak any one of the languages, but the chair is still just a chair. What I'm trying to point out is that things we do in our body are solid in a way. They aren't opinions, they are physical things. And I believe I work with emotions as physical actions we do in our body. So let's try for an action. There's a shadow. That's nice. Okay. But say, can you think of something that makes you happy inside? Say one word about it. And what does that do to your body? Do you do anything in your body when you think of that? Okay. How many people are on this call, please?
We have like 60 people now.
Okay, well, I can't see them all, but I'll pretend that I can. If you say something that reminds you of something pleasant and nice in your life, most people will experience some changes in their body. They loosen, they open. Say something that's very uncomfortable. Cancer, rape, war. Say a word like that. Does anything happen in your body? From Julia, okay. That's connection. Okay. I will try to keep track of the chat. If anybody says something I should really look at right away, tell me to. But what does that mean to say that emotions are physical actions you do in your body? In English, we say something like, you stepped on my pet turtle and that made me so mad. But that's not very accurate. You stepped on my pet turtle and I made myself so mad about it. Stepping on a pet turtle is something the enemy does. What I do in my body, I have to take responsibility for. And let me show you an example that I usually use with many of my students. Punch me, let's see, where can I go? Punch me in the stomach, not hard. There. Why did that hurt? Most people would answer because I got hit. Punch me again. It hurt because I didn't block. Both answers are true. The first answer, it hurt because you hit me, that is something that is true, and that's the way the world should work. You're putting responsibility on the attacker. Nobody should be attacking you. That's true. The second, the block, was something I had to do because if I don't block, nobody else will. I'll be hit. So I shouldn't have to take responsibility for that. But if I don't, then I get hit. So when I say You made me so mad. That is an action that I'm doing in my body, and anger is something I can do or not do. If you have any questions or disagreements or anything you want me to speak toward, always jump in and ask. Okay, what do I mean when I say the body is primarily mental? Raise your arm, please. Why does it go up? Because you told it to. Everybody who wishes to stand up, please, and look at something on the floor 3 or 4 meters away from you. It could be a pen or a pair of glasses or a rock, anything. 3 or 4 meters away, look at it and want it. Don't do anything to go get it. Don't freeze and don't freeze in the name of not getting it. Just let your body be and want the object. What do you experience happening in your body? Do most people feel a slight movement toward the object? Leaning forward, yes. Okay. That is my operational definition of intention. Intention for me, I don't mean I intend to go to a movie later. Intention for me is a technical term about how the body moves through space. Flow through the body. Yes, it is. But flow, that's an interesting word. We'll come back to it later, perhaps. Why is it important for me to make the distinction between the menu and the food? If I tell somebody to relax, which I've said a million times, but they don't know how to relax, then I'm not giving them a blueprint. I'm not giving them instructions which they can actually follow. If I say, let your tongue hang loose, let your shoulders hang, let your feet hang, let your belly plop loose, those are more specific and followable injunctions. I could say, do this, and if I say it in the basic language, then people can follow me and do it. If I were to say, extend your energy to the end of the universe, do you know what that means? How would you do it? If I say, extend your attention toward the wall, that's more concrete and it's specific. I don't know where the end of the universe is. It's nice to say things like that. It's good poetry, but does it help people do something? That's my basic question. And I should, by the way, for those of you who don't know me, I have Parkinson's. I've had it for 15 years. I'm still going strong, I think, because I do work with my own body in the way that I'm trying to teach here. The body is not just a lump of meat and bone. It's thought. I want to get something. I do not want something close to me. All of those thoughts and feelings are actions you do in your body. But the body conditions the actions. Let me try something. Stand here, please, Jacob. Yeah, okay. He's bigger and stronger and younger and in every way better than I am, almost. Yeah. But if I walk up to him, hello.
Hello.
What does a normal person do when somebody gets that close? Walk up to me, please. People tend to brace and try to create a barrier. Is that a mental or physical thing? My answer is yes, it is. It's an interesting question. Is it mental or physical? I think there's only just one of me, and depending on what I want to talk about, I'll use mind language or body language. If I am greeting an old friend who says, how are you doing, Paul? And I say, well, my shoulders are slumping, my belly's hanging out, my head is down. That's accurate but cumbersome. I'd say, I'm sad, my pet turtle was killed yesterday. So the body is what we read, the emotions are what we do, but it's a cumbersome language to speak that way. So I teach people how to speak that way when it's useful and speak a different way when something else is useful. Any questions? Anybody want to jump in and ask me something about why is the sky blue or whatever? Okay. no questions. And I'll assume that I'm being comprehensible and everybody's understanding. So coming from martial art is a very different place. It's a very different way to live. If he comes in with a punch, I can move with it. I try not to move against it. I try to cooperate with his movement and take it. That's Aikido. I wouldn't do, that's not a normal Aikido response. So much of my work comes from the philosophy and the theory of Aikido, but that's all physical. Let me try something. You can do this as a thought experiment because you're not with me. If I say, don't let me pull you forward, what do you do? I say, don't let me pull you toward me. What do you do? Most people will resist. I've done this with Aikido black belts all over the world, not all over, over lots of the world. And always, these people who are trained in Aikido are supposed to flow and yield. They resist. And they finally get it when I say, don't let me pull you across the line. So if they walk forward, then I can't pull them. Is that a mental or physical thing? Yes. If I have internalized into my body the feeling of moving with things through a lot of practice, then when somebody yells at me, move! I don't oppose it. If he says my report was terrible.
Your report is terrible. Redo it again.
Thank you. Can you help me understand what you need for that?
Sure.
You see, if you are used to yielding, which is a technical term in Aikido, you don't push back by reflex, you yield. And in yielding, you can change the interaction, you can change your body, but is that physical or mental? Yes, it is. My favorite joke is, what's the difference between a duck? And the answer is, the one leg is shorter than both of the other one. It probably doesn't make any sense in Russian either, but that's what I feel like when somebody says, is it mind or body? Yes, but the both are shorter than the other one. So how do you do things with that? How would you apply this? It's an easy thought and it's an easy action, but what good does it do in daily life? Let me show you an example, a sort of extreme example. You don't have to do this, but slap me. Yeah, okay, keep going once. Yeah, do I change my breathing? Do I change my posture? Not anymore. I've learned that I don't have to. I can, you don't want to do that.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. Slap. Okay, see, the point I'm making is that if you're used to something and you've trained yourself for it, you can be cooperative and kind and respectful in a situation in which all of our reflexes are to put up barriers and be angry. But it takes training. I don't actually know why it takes training to do things right. It takes no training to do things wrong. Anybody can just tighten up and hit back. But to not tighten up and not hit back and still be safe, that takes a lot of training. Next time I create the universe, I'm going to change that and make it a little bit better. But I can't do it this time. So what am I trying to explain here? The mind is words, thoughts, strategies, and they basically show up in the body. Let's take, for example, a simple one. I often have clients who feel very defensive about things. And I say, show me a posture which feels defensive. And they'll go like this. And if you go like that, no, this. Is that defensive? There's a good way to test it. Okay, if it's not defensive, do this. Does that work better? Yes, I think it's fairly clear that when you're open, nothing can get in. When you're closed, anything can get in. That's a very strange way of speaking and thinking, isn't it? But it bears it out when you use it that way. It can be verbal as well. Shout at me something.
You're a terrible old man.
Thank you very much. You can disarm people by yielding, not bracing against it. But it's not a human way to do things. We're built to get tough and tight and oppositional. And there's a lot in the trauma field that comes from this closing, but that isn't quite the topic we're doing today. Let's see. The partner is perfect to practice. Yes. Basically, that's something that I get differences of opinion on all the time. I ask people, what is the best situation in which to learn to cooperate and get along in a friendly way with people on a nice project? And everybody says, you want to get along with people, you have to have a kind, friendly interaction. I say, no, anybody can be friendly to their friends. It's the enemies that you have to practice with. So I think the best way to learn about cooperation is in a situation of antagonism and non-cooperation, because that's what you need to study. You can't study fish to understand cats. You have to study the thing you want to study. And fishes are nice and cats are nice, but they're different. You can always tell the difference between a fish and a cat. Okay, where do we go with this? By the way, I have my camera here and my screen there, so I'm not looking away from you, I'm looking towards another image. But how do we use this? Okay, let me think. Do you have any suggestions how we could use this in your daily lives? Yes. Anybody say anything? No. Okay. Have you ever taken a test in school? Stressful situations, yes. Have you ever taken a test in school? Probably. Okay, what do you do when you prepare for the test? I remember one test in biomechanics in my master's program. I came in just before the bell rang. I said, help, where's the tibiohumeral ligament? Everybody got panicked because they couldn't remember where it was. And then somebody thought and said, tibiohumeral ligament joins your knee and your elbow. And they were really miffed at me because it was a joke, but they weren't thinking, they were just trying to memorize. So I have an odd sense of humor perhaps, but I hope they learned that you just don't blindly look for a tibiohumeral ligament. It doesn't exist. But what did they do? They went into arousal mode and got panicked because they couldn't remember where a non-existent ligament was. I brought some of the wrong equipment this morning, and about 20 minutes till I had to drive home, get the stuff, and come back. I wasn't stressed, but I sure was hurrying. So what's the difference between stress and hurry? Any ideas? What you say in the chat? Not yet. What's the difference between rushing and tension? Yes, that's true. How much and what? Can you tense? Can you move without tensing? That's a very interesting word. We use it for over-tensing, and for normal tensing, we don't talk about it. You can't lift anything without tensing. But the question is, do you maintain a level of tension that isn't helpful and isn't relevant to daily life? Yeah, okay, skiing, I think it's it. Yes. How do you release tension? I don't think you can. Why? If I have a tissue in my hand, I can release it. How do you release tension? Is it the same thing? Is it something that you can let go of and it'll fall off or like come out? It's an action. If I'm doing this, I can do that if I know how. But you can't just let go of tension with breathing. Okay. Look at everyone. You let go with breathing. Not all breathing. I tend to be word obsessive. I like things to be clear and specific so I can figure out what people are talking about. If you say you release tension through breathing, it may be true and it may not be true, but I don't really have enough specificity to tell. So how do you breathe? Everybody take a deep breath, please. Where is the movement in your body? What do you do? Many people suck in the stomach and breathe high because we're supposed to stand tall when we breathe. Long exhaling. Long exhaling. Why do you, I'm assuming you're going in slowly and out very slowly. Is that what you mean? Why is that useful? It might be, I don't know. I'm just asking. Okay. What do you do to not let yourself do stress? Focus, slow breathing, retention area. Actually, I never do that. I know a lot of people do it, and it's useful. What I do is I just let everything hang loose, and I don't control my breathing except to just let my body soften. Do I let my body soften? No, I think I soften my body. See the difference between letting my body soften and softening my body. If you take responsibility for your body, you can do that more easily when the language supports it. Now, I don't know, I maybe know 3 words of Russian, but English, it teaches you to look in the wrong direction. You made me so mad. So you're looking at him, and you're not looking inside yourself. I have a fantasy about lobsters. Lobsters have their eyes on the end of the stalks. They ought to be able to bend them this way. Where are we? There we are. And look themselves straight in the eye and see what the heck is going on inside. We can't. Very hard for us to look in, but it's necessary to improve your functioning. So if I suggested to you that you should let your belly hang loose all the time, what would your response be? How does that sound? Nobody's saying anything yet. Okay, I guess it's a decent enough suggestion. Why would you want your body to stand, why would you want to let your belly plop loose? Remember, we started with an idea of something that made you very uncomfortable. Rape, cancer, war. Say one word and notice what you're doing in your body as you say that. Most people suck in and tighten up a bit. How many people feel that? Any way I can get an idea? From judgment. Oh, I see. I don't. Say it in English. It becomes tense. It becomes tense. What's the it? Please. Belly. Okay. Belly becomes tense when you breathe like that. I would like to say, no, it doesn't. It doesn't become tense. You tense it. See the difference? One is passive, one is active. My throat is blocked. No, it isn't. I block my throat. Why is it more interesting for me to hear that and to teach my students to say that? Because if I'm blocking my throat, I can tell them to let go and not block their throat. If my throat is blocking, what language does throat speak? Throatish? I don't know a word of throatish. How would I talk to my throat if it is not me? See what I'm getting at? If you take the attitude that what you are and what you feel are the same thing. It's the body. I'm sure there's some people who disagree with that, but it's interesting to talk that way. So what do I do with my belly when I'm tense or scared? I suck it in, stand tall, throw it back. Okay, Jacob, this you need a partner for. You can always find somebody, maybe not this morning, but if I push on him and he is much stronger and heavier and solider than I am, raise your eyebrows. What happens when he raises his eyebrows? He goes back. Why? When do people normally raise their eyebrows? When they go back. So if you raise your eyebrows, the body says, gee, I must be scared of something. And the rest of the fear startle response comes in and you go back, you get weaker. And it's mechanical. It's not that you know this and then you don't do it anymore. If you raise your eyebrows, the rest of the reflex follows it immediately, unless you've trained yourself for that. And that takes quite a bit, I think. But what do you do with your throat when you inhale? Let it hang loose, hang it loose. Let your armpits hang loose. Let your belly hang loose. Is there a problem with letting your belly hang out? Anybody find that uncomfortable or unaesthetic? Probably somebody does. There's always somebody who thinks this looks better. As I understand it, that posture came from the dancers in the court of Louis XIV. You are not allowed to turn your back to the king. So they lengthened the front by shortening the back, and that's how they danced. So it's different if you lengthen the front at the cost of shortening the back. It's different from just letting everything free up. Now, how do you apply this? There are some very simple ways to apply it. The first one is just breathe gently. Don't control the breath in any way except that you're breathing gently. That's a little too effortful, I think. Now, if Jacob hits my hand, yeah, I have the choice. You can't do that to me. Or I could just go with it. Or I could let him hit it. Why do you want to hit my hand, sir?
I don't know. I'd rather hit you.
Well, that's cool. Okay. You have the opportunity when somebody attacks to learn to be kind and relaxed. Why would you want to be? This guy's attacking me. I can't afford to be relaxed. I'm going to hit him. Okay? If you're not relaxed, you can't think or move well. If you are relaxed, yeah, thank you. You can do something. Now, I use the physical examples from the martial arts because they're so obvious. But the same thing applies verbally. What is it to yield? It's not, in Aikido terms, the same as surrendering. Have you ever gotten stuck in an ocean current as you swim and it takes you away from the shore? Do you fight the current and go toward the shore? No, because there's a lot more power in the ocean than you can deal with. Go with the current on an angle so you eventually exit the current. Then you can simply swim back to the shore. But that's the same thing we're trying to do in Aikido. When he punches, I get out of the way and I help him find a place where he's happy, usually on the ground. But what I'm trying to do is extend that idea into daily life. If the body and the mind were separable, as our language thinks it is, then why would doing something with the body affect the mind? Why would doing something with the mind affect the body? If they're really separate, there might not be any crossover at all. But I think they're the same thing. You just speak differently depending on what you want to say. And it's more convenient to say it in certain languages. My shoulders are down, my belly is relaxed, my legs are soft. It's more specific to say, I'm relaxed, and then describe what you're doing in your body. If you just say, I'm relaxed, no way of easily telling what you're doing and whether you are relaxed. So if you take a thought of wanting something over there, your body will choose to go do it. Here, this is an old Aikido trick. Put your weight on my elbow, bend it. Be strong. He probably outweighs me by 3, but he can't bend my arm. Am I relaxed? Yeah. See? Push hard. He can snap it if he pushes fast, but I hope he won't do that. Thank you. That is a thought that controls the body for efficiency in delivering power. If I think, you can't bend me, I'm stronger, it hurts and I bend right away. If I'm not concerned with bending and I'm not feeling antagonistic, then I can have strength that'll work. Does that make sense? Now, I'm not going to teach that right now here. You need a partner to do that. But if your mind is telling the body what to do, at the same time, your body is communicating to your mind what is possible and how to go about doing things. Now, even that language is a little iffy, but it works, I think. The mind is primarily physical. I'll show you. Here, Jacob, let me throw this at you. And he's a trained martial artist. He won't really have any real response to a Kleenex attack. But what would a normal person do?
Okay.
You'd flinch. And it's a very powerful reflex. If you can control the language, you can control the body and vice versa. If you don't let the body, can you not let the body do something? No, you have to do something else. So let your shoulders hang loose, let your belly hang loose. And if I do that, then now there's no response in particular. Did I give body instructions, or did I say, keep your mind calm, it's only a tissue? No, I said, do this with your body. And there was a result that he was able to stay relaxed when I attacked him. Now, if you don't know how to do that, and somebody says, well, just relax. If they knew how, they wouldn't be here learning. So you have to be very careful to identify the language level that you're speaking and the physical level that moves with for a given student. See what I mean? If somebody comes in, well, I often get people who come from the yoga practice and they say, my teacher said this is the best way to breathe. And I say, for what? For whom? Which is better, a shovel or a typewriter? It depends what you want to do. So which way of breathing is the right way to breathe? It depends what you're doing and why you're doing it. So you cannot logically ask a question like, what is the best, without saying for whom, for what, in what circumstance. So the clarity of thought that you have will change your body's response. You will do things differently in your body if you're speaking clearly. Okay? If your body is like this with tension, you will probably constrain your thoughts to oppositional and stressful actions. You won't be able to think of anything cooperative and relax. If your body is like that, you'll just want to hit the guy and get rid of him. So the body is primarily taking orders from the mind, and the mind is being changed by what the body does. That sounds, it's very strange to say in English. Does it sound as strange in Russian? Probably. Okay. Questions, comments, anything on the chat that I should address? Nope. Okay. Why would you ask a question? Because you want to control my behavior. You want me to do what you wish me to do. If I said, pass the salt, please, at dinner, you'd probably give me the salt. If I say, give me the salt, jerk, what would you do? You'd probably throw it at me. So depending on how you speak and how you think, there are physical changes and physical actions and results that you'll get. And you won't get them from some ways of speaking. You will get them from other ways of speaking. So which is the best way to speak? For whom and for what? If I'm trying to keep myself safe from an attack, okay, I'm going to poke you in the stomach. A little closer. Let's go back so we can see it. There you go. Okay, I poke you in the stomach. Say, don't touch and hit.
Don't touch. Don't touch. Don't touch. Don't touch.
And I'll say, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
What do you see in the movement? Can you see that his movement became more flowing and larger when he said thank you? It's a very interesting experience. When you say don't touch, people usually curl up and try not to be touched. When you say thank you, they just swat it, and it works better. So is that a mental or physical change? Yes. Okay. You'll get the joke after a while. Is it mental or physical? Well, the French invented an instrument for separating the mind from the body, but it isn't good for you. Both. It isn't both. It's just plain yes. Both means there's two of those things, and they're both like that. But there's only one me. Probably that's a good idea to keep me in chat. Otherwise, it's lots more. How is it possible to keep the body, what's the last word? Whatever, relaxed, I imagine. Okay, let your tongue relax. Let your throat hang loose. Let your shoulders hang loose. Let your belly hang loose. Now take a breath in through the nose and let the movement go down into your belly. The air, of course, will stay up in your lungs, but the movement will go down into your belly. And let your mouth hang open. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and let everything soften as you do that. Okay, now there's a lot more to be discussed, but what does that do to your breathing, to let it come in and out, very soft and slow? Does it change anything in your body or your way of thinking? I imagine it would. Does it change it in a way that is helpful? Probably, depending on what you want to do, what you want help with. But how is it possible? Let's try another exercise. Can you think of something that makes you happy inside? A poem, a person, a sunset, whatever. Something that makes you happy inside. Yes, it is great. What if you need what? If there's danger. Okay. That is why I practice martial arts. I don't get into fights. I haven't been in any fights in the last 50 years, but I'm prepared. Not in the sense of having a technique, but in the sense of knowing how to stay present and observant and relaxed. Okay. What do you feel in your body? What do you do in your body when you think of something that makes you happy inside? Most people feel a warmth and a softening. Okay. There are many other possibilities. There are no wrong answers, but most people, in my experience, feel a warmth and a softening. Now, let's do one other thing. Have you ever been a star or a light bulb? In the U.S., I ask a third possibility. Have you ever been a firefly's butt? But I don't know if you guys have fireflies, so I won't use that one right now. But what do light bulbs and stars and fireflies and things like that have in common? They glow. When you glow, what happens to your body? Okay. What happens to your body when you glow? It expands. When you join it to the relaxation and the kindness, the friendliness, this opens you up to the world. Do I look different when I'm doing this versus when I'm doing that? I imagine I must. So I'm looking at the screen to find out, and it feels very different. What do you do to keep it when there's danger? You don't. You do the keeping when there is no danger. You sit or stand and practice every day. And then when something comes up that is dangerous, you probably won't do it deliberately, but it'll just kick in. You take a breath and you're ready to go. But you have to practice. Many people think of the results of body work as being sort of like medicines, antibiotics. When you take the pill, it kills the thing inside, and then you're done. You don't have to worry about it anymore. This is more like practicing the piano. If you stop practicing, your skill goes away, and you can't get any better. So the way you use this in danger is to use it when it's not dangerous, and you can practice using it. And then you escalate your practices. One year, a few years ago, I took nothing but freezing cold showers all winter long, just for the practice of not going, okay. There's always something that doesn't feel comfortable. You can use that. When I go to the dentist, I don't use anesthetics, partly because I don't like the way it makes my mouth feel, and mostly because it's a good opportunity to practice. I'm not crazy. I wouldn't cut myself to feel pain, but as long as somebody else is doing it for a good reason, I get the opportunity to lie there and practice not being disturbed by it. Okay, that may be a trifle peculiar, but it's okay. There's always something that isn't what you want, and you can practice being okay with that. Okay, questions? You can unmute yourself and ask directly if you have a question. Thanks. Does the expanding and those chat things, I don't know how to get the rest of the question in. Let's see, where is that? Can I make it larger? How can we manage fear? Oh, there we are, good. I don't know if it's in Russian, that's a little hard for me, but what kind of martial arts are you recommending for kids? Okay. I don't. I tell parents that there are a number of martial arts, and I describe the kinds of strategies they use. Hard martial arts. Jacob is a third-degree black belt in Taekwondo. Yeah.
Oh, you mean block hard?
Yeah. He's used to blocking hard and controlling the attack that way. I'm coming from a soft arm. I gently join it and take it over. Now, if I'm antagonistic, you can't do that to me, you jerk. I lose all my gentleness. So you have to practice that. I don't suggest martial arts. I talk to parents and I say there's hard arts, there's soft arts. There are arts which are about tournaments and winning. There are arts which are meditative. There are street self-defense martial arts. So I don't tell people what they should want. I just try to be clear about what the options are, and then they'll decide what they want for their kids. That was the next question. How does the expanding make a person too open for attack? I don't think so. Would you drive on the freeway with your eyes closed? If you do that, they can't hit you because they can't see you, right? That may be a slight cognitive problem there. You can't be too open. What does too open mean? If you're open, you can deal with something attack. Well, if he comes up from behind, I can do something. If I'm closed, I can't do much. Help, he's taking me away. That's the benefit of having a big student. So too open for what? You will feel vulnerable. You will feel available when you open up, but that is the sign of being able to move. Let's see. What kind of martial art? How can we manage fear? You can't. Can you stop a feeling? No, I think that's like digging a hole in the water. You can't stop a feeling, but you can put another one there in its place. So can you dig a hole in the water? Not with a shovel, but if you put a brick there, there's no more water where the brick is. You can replace the water with something else. If I'm in fear, I can't stop the fear. I have to replace it with something else. So what would be good to replace it with? Calmness, alertness, stability. Because if something is making you afraid, it's probably uncomfortable or dangerous. So if you replace the fear with awareness and gentleness and flow, then you'll be able to move to protect yourself. So does that answer the question? How can we manage fear? If you don't manage it, you just do something better. How? Yes, okay, good. I'm glad. What else? Okay. Question? Okay. What are we going to do with this? If the body is primarily mental, what do I mean by that? I mean that what we do is what we choose to do. I want this, I don't want that. I think I'll go here. It's all, the body responds to what the mind is doing. Yeah, there we go. Hope you're not getting seasick. I'm moving your image a bit. There we go. If the body is primarily mental, by that I mean you want something, you don't want something. That is what moves the body. That's what the body moves to get. But the mind is primarily physical. If I walk around like this all day long, everything will seem scary to me. There's a phrase in English. I got up on the wrong side of the bed this morning, and all day long I'm grumpy, unhappy. We don't even have the opposite. We don't have a statement. I got up on the right side of the bed today. Everything is fun. I love it. Give me a glass of water. Thank you. Let's see. Okay. Does tension ever help in life? It depends what you mean. If you mean this, probably not, unless you're in a situation, well, a situation that, let me give you a story. I was working at a lockup facility for violent adolescents, and I was teaching an Aikido class there. Thank you. And one day I was teaching a defense against a stick attack. One of the street kids said to me, that wouldn't work on the street. And I said, I don't know, here's the stick, and we'll try it. And then I stood there and smiled at him. After 30 seconds, he said, maybe it would work, and gave it back to me. I don't actually know whether it would have worked, because I don't know what his attack would have been. But I know that when I smiled at him, he was worried. Why is he smiling? What does he know that I don't know? It wasn't worth the risk to find out. So if my mind has trained, if I've trained my mind to find alternatives and to look for different ways of working with a situation, then I'll have more freedom. If I don't train my body, my mind won't be able to function well. So it's the same thing, but we can use words or we can use actions. They're all part of us, but it depends what you want to change, whether it's easier to change it in words or through movements. But they really have to go together, I think, for greatest efficiency. Does tension ever help in life? It depends what you mean by tension. You can't move without tensing a muscle. But if by tension you mean undue amounts of stiffness, the only thing I can think of is if you have to influence somebody to let you go. You're walking and somebody's coming up to you and they want to push you around. If you do this, they'll probably push you harder. If you say, oh, I don't want to do this, I'm just a little old man, maybe you can let me go this time. You can pretend to do anything you want, and if it's the right thing, it'll work for getting them to stop hassling you. So yeah, I imagine you could find a use for tension. If you're a playwright or if you're an actor and you can't do the tension, you're not going to be able to play all the parts that require tension. So I don't know. I never use the word never. Okay. So what else is the question? Does it mean to be aware all the time? Okay. What if you react really good and can become like, well, if you can really react well, then you don't have to hurt anybody. Grab me. He's got me. I can do what I need to do. But can it become a danger for the one who attacks? Yes, of course, that's the point. If he attacks, and I'm doing this, that's not a danger, it won't deter. If I'm doing that, now I don't want to. Aikido is a non-violent martial art. We try not to hurt people. But if you can't, I once said to one of my clients, you can't really make love to anybody you can't kill. And she said, what? And I said, it's just a fancy, dramatic way of saying you can't say yes until you can say no. Because if you can't bring yourself, or you don't have the power to say no, how voluntary is the yes? And she understood it, and then she told that phrase to her psychotherapist, who said, what? And she couldn't remember the explanation. So I had to write it down and give it to her for her therapist. And as I understand, the therapist said, oh, yeah, that makes sense in a dramatic kind of way, but I have a penchant for strange ways of speaking. Does it mean to be aware all the time? No. If you try to be aware all the time, your batteries will fry, your batteries will burn out. You should be more aware most of the time than most of us are. When there's a real danger, then you have to be completely aware. But if you are trying to be completely aware all the time, your brains will cook, I think. It's very difficult to maintain that level of awareness. I'm stressed a lot. The parts of the body relax or not. I'm stressed a lot. Let me make a suggestion. You are not stressed a lot. You stress a lot. Yeah? One is a passive language and the other is an active language. I stress. I don't feel stress. I don't get stressed. I do stress. It's terrible English grammar, but I like it better. It's more precise. So if somebody says to you, why are you so stressed? And what's the answer? It depends what you're stressing about. The short answer is because I'm doing stress. And can I not do stress? Sometimes. My bad days now are pretty much better than my good days were 30 years ago. So I've learned a little about how to move and live comfortably. Am I perfect? Yeah, I was perfect once for 3 seconds and it saved my life. And then I went back to being a mortal, just an ordinary mortal. So I don't think we should try to be perfect and aware all the time. Let's see what else. And what you should say is, not I'm stressed a lot, but I do stress. And when you say that, what situations do you do it in? And for what? And if you pursue that line of inquiry, you'll probably come up with some interesting results. If the body is primarily mental, does this mean that the mind development should be in focus and the body just answers to what the mind? No, it's a joke. The body is primarily mental in the sense that we don't do anything without thinking it through. Maybe not consciously. Aside from spinal reflexes, my thought is that anything we do, we did. So anything we want to change, we have to notice how we're doing it. But is the mind primarily mental, or is the body primarily physical, or are they each the opposite? Yes. I do like Confucian. Confucian was the great Chinese philosopher. Translate that. Thank you. Lieber Paul. Okay, good. Okay. Any other questions? Anything I should speak to that I haven't? I think I've got 5 minutes to achieve perfection here or get closer to it. Do you want to take a breakout session for 4 minutes to speak about what we've done here and to see if you guys have any questions? Or should we do it, or should we not do that way?
Yeah, Paul, the thing is that actually you have like 2 minutes more. And after that, we have a small information block. And after that, we come back to you for your top tip.
Okay, then
yeah, so maybe like one or more question. There is a question. Do you have your daily routine practice for brain and body?
Yes. Is that the end of the answer? I do breathing exercises. I do Aikido. I do movement stuff. I ride my bicycle wherever I go instead of using a car. I run almost every day. I lift weights. I've had Parkinson's for 15 years. It's not possible for me to be as functional and stable and balanced as I am, but I found a way to do it. And it partly has to do with the movement of intention through space. So I do a lot of stuff to keep myself functional. And yeah. Do you have a daily practice for me? Yes. And it doesn't mean that you have to do the same practice. Of course, my website has a number of books. All the papers are free. So you can get a lot of information from that material. And you can adopt any of the stuff that you like to do yourself. But yeah, if you don't practice, you don't get better. A student in one of the workshops once said, Paul, you treat yourself like a white laboratory rat. And I said, yeah, of course. I push the bar, see what happens. And if I don't like it, I push a different bar. And I'm training myself. When I first was diagnosed with Parkinson's, it was, oh my God. And I spent a lot of time going, Parkinson's, Parkinson's. And that's probably why I haven't rusted shut yet, because I keep moving, keep feeling as good as I can about what I don't like. It enables me to deal with it better. Okay. Anything else? I must say I'm honored that people would wish to learn this from me and that I can be part of your lives for an hour. So thank you for coming and playing.
Okay, Paul, thank you very much. And I will make this announcement in Russian, and we'll be back to you like in 2 minutes, okay?
Okay, fine.
Yep. Ну что, друзья, мы почти уже у финиша. Сейчас в чате появится ссылка на сайт Пола, про который он только что говорил, и в начале чата тоже была ссылка на перевод части его материалов на русский. Тим, просит, если возможно, скопируй эту ссылку тоже. И, как обычно, мы напоминаем вам, что запись этой сессии и всех остальных будет на сайте до 26 февраля в свободном доступе, а также вы можете приобрести все записи, все сессии конференции для себя и для поддержки этого прекрасного дела, чтобы мы смогли повторить его снова. И часть наших доходов мы направляем в фонду «Такие дела», которые поддерживают различные благотворительные проекты, так что у вас будет возможность поучаствовать еще и в такой благотворительности. Через полчаса после нашего кофе-брейка мы вас ждем, ну, на самом деле, в 7 часов закрытие нашей конференции. Последняя сессия, которую проведет Александра Вильвовская и, я думаю, другие участники команды. Так что мы ждем вас и возвращаемся к Полу для того, чтобы узнать его финальный топ-тип. Paul, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Great. So, last words of wisdom, the best, the top tip.
Last words of wisdom. Do I have any wisdom at last? Yeah, don't get upset. It's easier to live if you don't. If you take an airplane and there's a delay, I was once watching this guy yelling at the ticket agent because he had to get to Oregon. And the ticket agent said, but all the planes are grounded from weather. And he said, I've got to go. He was being totally unreasonable. And I walked up, I was the next person, I said, some people just don't get it. And when I said that, the person at the counter went, yeah, so it's easy to de-stress people, and it's easy to de-stress yourself, but you have to do it on purpose. Was that wisdom? I hope so.
Well, you know, as you say, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so funny and also inspiring, and thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll see you. What do I do now? Just sign off?
Well, actually, we invite you to stay for the coffee break. We have online 15 minutes coffee break. If you want to share something with us and just hang out with us a little bit.
I'll do